Hey, good morning. Welcome back. I am Christine Regan Lake, and this is The Art of a Life Well Lived. So today I'm going to be doing a What Do You Need to Know Right Now reading. And as always, this is a timeless reading. If there are messages in here that resonate with you, great. Take whatever works for you and leave whatever doesn't. And if you find value in these videos, I would love if you could like, share, or subscribe to my channel. That helps me get my message out to those who need it. Okay, so let's get started. So the first card that came out made me smile because it was the Innocence card, right? So God is encouraging you right now to re-embrace your inner innocence, right? The childlike part of you. So the innocent state is really the purest part of your being that is completely untouched by kind of like the emotional toxicity of the world or anything. That part of you that is still the pure, pristine, innocent child, you are being encouraged to re-embrace her, reconnect with that energy, to lay down your walls and defenses, because when we're innocent, when we are embodying that childlike innocence, it brings us to that place where we don't have up all the barriers. We don't have up all of these defenses and all of the things that, the armoring that we put on as a result of taking our journey and being wounded from various things and stuff like that. So you are being encouraged to embrace your inner innocence. And the next two cards that came up were fairness and opportunity to forgive. So essentially, by returning to your state of innocence, this will put you in the energetic place of being able to forgive. Forgiveness can be tough. Sometimes we want to hold on to our anger. We want to hold on to our resentments and our bitterness because we feel like that's going to protect us. We think that by staying in that state that we will be hypervigilant and we won't allow anyone else to do that to us, but it doesn't serve us, because we can't let anybody in. If you have all your barriers up, you can't let anybody in. And so when I asked for further clarity on the opportunity to forgive, the first card that came up was your shame and defectiveness. So deep feelings of shame and humiliation, feeling that you're defective or broken. You may struggle with being guilt-ridden. You could struggle with eating disorders or self-harm in some way. Anytime you're self-sabotaging, either emotionally, physically, financially, binge eating, binge spending, shopping, gambling, like whatever it is for you. So shame and defectiveness, God is asking you, the universe is asking you to forgive yourself for, those feelings that you've had about yourself, and also to forgive the people, potentially your parents, potentially friends, spouses, employers, things like that. It's about learning to forgive yourself and forgive the people who made you feel ashamed and who humiliated you. Holding on to this, shame is one of the lowest vibrating emotions that you can have, and it is incredibly harmful to your physical body. It puts you in a vulnerable state for potentially acquiring like diseases and things like that, because whenever you lower your frequency, every organ vibrates at a certain frequency. So if you're holding on to shame and humiliation, it lowers your overall frequency of your body, and specifically different emotions depending upon where you're holding that shame in your body. And so you definitely want to release that. You might want to do some, prayer work. Oh, and the other thing, mala right? So you might want to do a mala bead practice, and an awesome practice to do with the mala beads. You could potentially do the Honopono Prayer. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. And you can do that with the intention of the I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you, with the intention of sending that to your childhood self, your inner child, as well as sending it to whoever it is that humiliated you and made you feel ashamed. So you would bring that person up into the forefront of your mind, and you would visualize them right in front of you, establish a heart connection. And then with that pure intention to forgive, you would do the I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. And you might, what I do when I'm working through this with my mala beads is I might do 5 of the I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and forgive me, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. I might do 5 for myself, and I visualize my childhood self, my childlike self, my 5-year-old self. And then I go, the next 5 is to the person that I'm trying to forgive. And I alternate back and forth between forgiving myself and forgiving the person, forgiving myself and forgiving the person. And you do it over and over and over again. The Honopono Prayer is incredibly powerful, and I highly recommend it. I have been using it for years, and I have seen it transform and my relationship with various people and my relationship with myself. And it is it's an incredible opportunity to purge and release those negative vibrations that are stuck in your body. So the next thing card that came out was to go outside. You know, sometimes we get caught up with life and we're not, we're in the house, we're at our computer, and we don't get enough time to be outside in nature, soaking up the sun, putting your feet in the sand at the beach, or going for a hike in nature. Your body wants you to go outside. It wants a break. It wants balance. It wants rest. So that's something to consider. The next card that came up is acceptance. So acceptance can be very difficult, right? So when you're on the healing journey, right, when you're trying to forgive this person or yourself that made you feel ashamed, right? So you're trying to forgive the person who made you feel ashamed, or forgive yourself. Sometimes it can be difficult to accept that this person violated your boundaries in some way, or it can be difficult to accept that you allowed yourself to be humiliated, to be treated disrespectfully, whatever it was that created the feelings of shame and defectiveness, right? So learning to accept what is. There's a Buddhist quote that talks about, all resistance, all suffering comes from resisting what is, right? So when you struggle against what is, you suffer, right? Because you're trying to you're trying to deny the fact that something happened and you don't like it, and so you don't want to look at it and you're resisting it. But when you fully accept something, when you fully accept that, this is the situation, for whatever reason my journey brought me to a place where I struggled with feelings of shame and humiliation, and you're looking to forgive, right? You're looking to forgive. It helps to not only remember your innocence, but remember the innocence of the person who may have violated your boundaries, who may have humiliated you, made you feel ashamed, and things like that. Everybody operates from where they're at, and not everybody comes into this world with a family that is nurturing and loving. And so some parents have a very limited toolbox. And so they simply model the behaviors and the things that they grew up in and how their life was for them. So if you can remember not only your own innocence, that pure, perfect being, try to, as you're moving through that forgiveness process, try to remember the innocence of the person you're trying to forgive. And one of the ways that I do that when I'm trying to work with, forgiveness towards another individual is I'll try to imagine that person as like a little 5-year-old. If I actually saw a picture of when they're that young, I visualize the 5-year-old self, because it seems easier to forgive like a child, because, obviously a child is innocent and doesn't know any better. And many, many people operate from their childhood self when they're triggered. Once they become triggered for whatever reason, they go into that reactive mode. And now that wounded 5-year-old self is what actually comes up, and it's the 5-year-old self that is not emotionally mature, that responds in that negative way, that can create the negative experience you have with them. So the next card that came up was transformation. So the beautiful thing about this is that you are ready to make this transformation. You are ready to set aside the past and move forward in a beautiful way. And one of the ways, when I asked for further clarity with regard to your transformation, the things that came up was that you want to embrace unconditional love for yourself, meaning be authentic. You're going to stop lying to yourself. You're going to stop, that you're going to finally embrace acceptance. You're going to stop resisting what is. You're going to look the shame and humiliation in the face, and you are going to embrace unconditional love for the innocent soul that you are, that innocent being, right? So you're going to embrace unconditional love for yourself, so that you can transform, you can set aside, you can lay down these feelings of shame and defectiveness, and you can fully make a conscious decision to fully embody conscious self-love, pride, self-worth, self-esteem. The next card that came up is loyalty, so your values. You want to look at your inner circle, and if you're in the midst of transformation, it is very difficult to heal in the same environment in which you became ill, emotionally, physically, whatever. So you want to look at your inner circle, and you want to purge anyone who could be infringing upon your boundaries, who no longer supports your highest and best self. Sometimes when you're on this healing journey, there are people that just need to go. They're not a lifetime person that's supposed to be in your life. They were a reason or a season, and it's time to lay them down. The next thing that came up with regard to transformation was mistrust or abuse, that you're overly defensive, right? This goes back to the innocence, right? So the reason you want to re-embrace your innocence is because of the mistrust and abuse that came about and was the cause of your shame and defensiveness. With those defenses being up, with the mistrust and abuse, you can't let your guard down. It creates a lot of isolation, because you're constantly keeping people at an arm's length, and you're not allowing people into your intimate circle to lay down those barriers and to invite them in, and to create soul level connections that are nourishing to you and your emotional, physical, and spiritual body. So the next thing is that you need to not back down. You need to embrace this transformation, right? So you want to embrace the transformation, and you want to be very intentional about it. You want to say, I'm no longer going back. I'm about to end this cycle. You're going to end the cycle of shame, humiliation, and living in that active vibration of mistrust and abuse, where you have to be constantly defensive and not let people in. Now, the value in that, what you're going to do when you allow yourself to do that is, here's the win. A new partner will come in. So if you can embrace your innocence, and you can forgive the past, and you can accept it, then you will get the new partner. You will finally allow, because you're bringing down your defenses, it will open up the space for that person to come into your life. And it's just reinforcing and reminding you that the cycles and rhythms, that this cycle is now time to come to completion. It is time for you to embrace that transformation that you need. And you want to be assertive, and you want to not back down, right? So your ego is going to fight to maintain its stance. Your ego is part of what holds those defenses up, and you're going to have to be assertive with yourself. You're going to have to be assertive, and you're going to have to not back down when you get afraid to bring down those defenses, because you will not be able to bring in a new partner unless you lower those defenses, unless you learn to put down your armor so that you can let somebody into your heart. So in terms of guiding children, you are being encouraged to do that inner child work, right? It's the innocence. It's the recurring the recurring theme, which was innocence and guiding children. This is about healing your inner child wounds so that you can bring in that life partner and have the beautiful, loving, abundant, nourishing, healthy relationship that you desire and deserve. Now, when I asked for clarity on how, what, if anything, could be blocks or things that could support you in taking this goal, you were encouraged to consider taking chamomile. This will help to release feelings of anxiety. It will help you feel more relaxed, and it helps to reduce inflammation and swelling. So if you're defensive, if you're in that mistrust and abuse, more than likely you struggle with low-level anxiety. So having maybe a cup of chamomile tea before you go to bed every night, that might help you with that. You want to embrace some light exercise. This will boost your good feel-good endorphins and things like that. And you may need to get a hair mineral analysis. So I had one of these done years ago, and what I discovered was that I had heavy metal toxicity. And no one was able to tell me what had been going on with my body until I had that hair mineral analysis. People were just like blindly, trying to guess what some of my health issues were. And the hair mineral analysis is not more valuable. It provides more comprehensive information than a blood test or a urine test, because the hair mineral analysis stores data that is much further back. So, the blood and the urine could be something that's just like the last, 24 or 48 hours or whatever, where the hair mineral analysis is going to give you information that can go back years. So it's very valuable. So that is my reading for you today. So I hope you found value in that. And so whoever needed to hear this message, you are being encouraged to do your inner healing work, do your inner child work, forgive yourself for the steps of the past, forgive those who have violated your boundaries and may have created trauma in you, which they recreated from their own trauma, and learn to love yourself so that you can bring down your defenses, so you can bring in that beautiful new partner and have a healthy, loving relationship that you totally deserve. So that's my reading for today. I hope you found value. If you'd like to like, share, or subscribe to my channel, I would love for you to do that. Thanks so much. Have a great day. And please put in the comments if there's any specific kind of readings that you'd like me to do for you. Please put it in there, because I totally want to give you whatever it is that you're looking for in terms of guidance, thoughts, messages, or whatever. Alrighty. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.